Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to another video and back to the channel. I know it's been a little while since I last posted something on here. Well, I haven't disappeared. I'm still here and we're continuing with the series that we last left off on, which was the Patreon game series. So all the sounds that you just heard in that demo at the beginning were all taken from the packs that are available for you guys on the Patreon. So if you haven't already, go over to my Patreon and sign up as a free member if you want to. There are some things available for free on there, but if you pay $5 a month, which I think is a pretty reasonable price for all the sounds you get each month, you will have access to all the sounds that we are using in this series of videos. So it will be nice and easy for you guys to follow along. So let's have a look at how we make and create some of these sounds for this pack. So today's focus is on how we do the drums. So let's go right into that now. Okay, so here I am inside of Bitwig. What I have here is Addictive Drums 2. You can see that I actually don't have the full copy. I'm only running the demo version here. This is on my wish list. I'm sure you guys have all got wish lists of things that you want to buy, like plugins. This is one plugin that still remains on my wish list to buy. So I only have the demo sounds. But in a way, this is cool because this means you can all follow along and use the same things that I'm using. What I've gone and done is use the On Pavement preset. This is part of the Fairfax, I believe, kit. Here we go, Fairfax Volume 1, and it's called On Pavement. I've loaded this in, I've then gone into the kit, and then from here I can select the sounds that I wanted to edit. So I've gone into the snare. This is what I've done to the snare. So I've changed a few things in the settings here in order to create a kind of snare that I'm sort of happy with. And I've also done the same thing inside of the kick drum. So in the kick drum, we can click on that little spanner symbol, and that brings us into the edit mode here. And once again, I've done a few little things here. Like I've added the pitch envelope. I did the same in the snare. I've played a bit with the volume envelopes. I've added a bit of like saturation and tape drive, etc., to just kind of beef the sounds up a little bit. And then I've got ahead and I've also bounced these all down. So let's just quickly listen to some of these. Snare. And we've got some rim shots, which we can layer up with these snares, for example. We've got a crash. And then we've got some little hats here that we can also use. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just chop these all up now to save you the bore of watching me do that for the next like 10-15 minutes. So go grab a coffee, smoke a zoot, whatever you want to do while I go and do this. Up to you, and I'll see you here in a second. Okay, so you can see here I've dragged in a few things already. If we come out of here, let's make this smaller, come here, these are all in the May pack. In here I've gone into the drums, and in the drums this has all been split into different hits. So I've taken some snares, I've taken a snare, I've taken a kick, I've taken some hats, and I haven't taken a crash for this one. But those are all available from May. They're already up on the Patreon. For those of you who are signed up, you should have them already. Anyway, back to this. These are the sounds I've selected, so let's make this big again. So we've got a snare here, we've got a kick here. I like to have my kick above my snare. Let's listen through these. That kick, that snare, this little hat loop I did. So there's that, and then there's this, which I made with a white noise. This is just purely a white noise. You can get this from anywhere. Okay, it's just doing that literally. And then one of the live hats we made as well. So here's one of the live sounds. Okay, so we're going to try and incorporate these things all together. First thing I want to do is just make this one shorter. So I'm going to make this one really short like this. Like that. There we go. So we're going to have this, and this one's going to be playing on the first beat every time. Let's get our kicks set up first of all. So we know we want a kind of typical drum and bass pattern. This one here, and we're going to put this one here, which means our snare should go here and here basically, and then we end up with. Okay, so this kick now we know can be shortened a bit. That's our first thing. So we got this, we can then start to copy this over into some kind of reasonable length. Let's just go with 4 bars for the moment. Okay, let's get a little extra kick in here somewhere. So let's go for like here somewhere. We'll get something like that. That will do. From there, now let's get these hats in here. I'm not going to use this first one actually. I'm just going to use these ones here. And they're going to go here. So let's just do that first of all. Let's get these over to here and here and here. So they're going to play on every 3, basically, a little third note one. And then we've got this one here, which I'm going to leave where it is, just for the purpose of this. I'm going to make it shorter, like this, and then this is going to be copied along every time as well. Like here, there we go. And then this little hat here, I'm going to have this one playing like this, I think. So I'm then going to duplicate this along like this. Oh, make sure you select the whole bar, otherwise that will happen. And then you get this. Let's put this all together. So I think let's get rid of the every other one of these, so that this is only playing once like this. Now let's try this. We make this bigger. Okay, so we've got our first loop kind of sitting together here. I'm just going to go and highlight all of these. So, and then I'm going to press Command and G, and this is going to allow me to group these. And I'm just going to call this one drums. And now we've got these all sitting in some kind of loops, and now we have an idea of how we want them to sound together. Okay, so there we go. So now we've got some kind of decent minimal beat going there. We're going to do a little experiment though before we move on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to type in, like, for example, kick. And let's find a sort of kick sample. So let's say that one. And then let's find a snare. And let's take this one. So now we've got a kick and a snare. What we're going to do is we're going to swap these out. So I'm going to put this kick here, and I'm going to put this snare here. And we're just going to line them up. I'm just going to copy those all over. So let's group these. Let's just move this for a second, and then let's put these back. And then back here. Okay, we could layer this up, and then we end up. Okay, so you can see how much of a difference that makes by just having a kick and snare. Now if I take these out again, and you just lose all that snap and that thickness. So just before we move on to using breaks with the kick and snare that we just put in here now, what I've done is I've gone ahead and nudged some of these audio samples as well. What do I mean by nudge? I mean, I've gone inside, for example, let's look at this one here, this hit here, and let's see what's going on. You'll now see that these are all slightly moved to different places. So the snare's moved slightly off from the bar there. This hat is also moved quite a bit off here. So I've done that individually to each snare, to each hat. So they're all slightly different. Some are a bit early, as you can see. Some are a bit late. This is just giving it a little bit more swing and sort of more of a live groove to it. As we know, a real drummer is not perfect, therefore we need to add a bit of imperfection into this as well, and it will give it a little bit more swing. I've done it manually. You can do it in different ways, depending on what method you're using to make your beats. You've also noticed in this video I'm making my beats by using audio. You don't have to use audio, you can also use MIDI. Inside of MIDI you'll have certain things that might be a bit easier to do than they are in audio. I find audio far more visually pleasing for myself, but it's totally up to you guys how you want to approach your drum making ways, and I choose audio as my way, purely for visual sort of thing. And you can use a mixture of both if you want to as well. That's also cool. There's no real law as to how you have to do this. It's the end result and what it sounds like, and they're all kind of doing the same thing with a slightly different approach to how it's done. So once you've made a nice minimal beat like this, we could leave it, we could start adding more percussion to it. So you could add some rides, you could add some faster hats to this to progress your ideas. That's something that's always worth doing when making tracks, is to have have different sections of your percussion. So bring elements in and out, add faster hats, add more splashy hats, crashes. You can add some little Foley sounds in the background as well to add to the texture of your beat. So there's a few extra ideas that you can use to add to these later on. But this is the basic structure of your kick and snare beat, or a minimal type beat. So from here, let's now look at how we can start creating beats using some breaks. So let's get onto that. So I've copied my kick and snare over from this channel, and I've moved this loop over to here now. So we're going to add a break. So the break we're going to use a classic sample pack. Many people have used this. So I'm just going to go to my sample library, and let's go into breaks. And there we go, breaks. Nice. Remember the 3-click rule, no more than 3 clicks to get to where you need to get to. And in here we have these classic breaks. They say DnB break 1, and it goes all the way down to DnB break. Where are we? Well, the numbers have gone a bit weird. They've gone a bit off here, but it does go to 100 or something, if I'm not mistaken. There we go. Actually, it goes to 200. So there we go. You've got 200 classic breaks in there. There are obviously lots more sample CDs and things we can use. There's loads of them here. I'll leave a link to this one because it is free. A lot of these old breaks you can get your hands on for free. There's various sites where you can download the original breaks, or you can download various process breaks, etc. They're available in various different places, but I'll leave the link in the bio down below for this pack, as it's a classic. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose a few breaks from this and see if we can build some kind of drum beat using the breaks from here. So let's find some of them. Let's listen through to a few. I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to choose a few. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come and group my beats here. And let's just put them into a group by pressing Command and G. This one now, once you've highlighted all these, put them into one group. I'm just going to call this group breaks. So now I've got a breaks group, and inside this breaks group, I've got loads of these here. They should all be hopefully at the right speed. They look like they are. They look like they've all gone in perfectly well. So that's cool. Sometimes if they don't, make sure you stretch them, make sure you get them into the right speed so they fit with your track. Okay, so I've got these all in a group now. The first thing I want to do is choose a break, basically. So we've got our kick and snare, and we've got a break. So we've got a few selected here, a few different ones. Let's have a listen. Okay, so let's stretch this break over here, like this. Let's get this section in here. I believe it's identical, so let's just copy this over, put this in here, like that. And then we get rid of that crash, because if you hear this as a crash at the beginning, so I don't want that playing every single time. So I'm going to just move it out this bit here and let it play on the first one. Okay, so this is something you could probably consider doing along here as well, just maybe having this every 8, etc. It depends how you want it, how it works with your idea. So this is why I'm just going to keep this as a little 4-bar loop here, because this can then all be extended and chopped around later once the loop's established. So now we've got that, let's see how it works with the actual kick and snare. So I'm going to move this up as a top break here, and I'm going to move my drums down here. Basically, I want my kick and snare to be visible, so let's go kick and snare. Let's put them together like this, and then let's move these down over here as well. So they're still in here, but I can see them over my break, so that just makes life a bit easier for me. So I can come in here, I can see what's going on with the snares, and I can go in here, I can see what's going on with the kicks. Let's do the kick first. So we want to make sure all our kicks line up with the kicks in this break. So we've got one there, one there. So that's so far so good. Let's make it small. You can kind of see the kicks, they look like this in waveform. So they look different to your hats and your snares, so you can identify where they are as well. And as we can see, they're all in the correct place according to this. So we know we've got them lined up. Next thing is we want to check our snare is lined up. So let's just now look at the snare. Let's find it and identify it first in the break. Once again, we can kind of see it. It stands out a bit more than the hats, but it seems to be all in the correct place once again. So that's good. So we've got our kicks and snares in the correct place. What I would do on this main group of all the breaks is I would just come into this now, and I would add an EQ. And the reason I want to do this is because I don't want the lows coming through. I want to replace the lows with my own kick and snare, as we've already got in here. So let's open this up, and let's just take this low end down, and we're just going to scoop out. And then we can start adding in this kick and snare. It might not be the correct one for it. Let's have a listen. So as you can see in here with this snare, it's a bit long. It covers over here, so we don't need any of this here. So what I'm going to do is highlight all of these ones, at least the long ones here, and I'm just going to make them the same length as the other snare in the original break, which comes to here, as you can see. There we go. So therefore, my one should end in the same place, and then I will do. So that's the first thing sorted. The other thing I noticed is these sounds are very loud as well. Let's just check the kick length over very swiftly. As you can see, we don't need half of these things here. So like this sound here and this sound should be really short as well. As you can see, because there's a hat in this one, there's a hat there. It's kind of a long kick. I think we can get away with having it that length. So we just need to delete all these things basically. So let's go along and do this. Let's just get rid of this because this kick is not going to do the same thing here, I don't think. Just to make sure it follows everything. There we go. And then let's check this. And for this break, I need to have this snare being exactly the same as the others. So let's get this. Okay, I think that's rolling along fairly nicely now for that break. So this is where we can start to consider layering our breaks. So we can either get percussion loops, find some nice percussion loops or some kind of textures to put in the background. Just for the purpose of this, I'm going to use another break. Now remember, because I put this EQ on here, it's covering all of these sounds at the same time. So let's just check some of these other breaks quickly. We'll turn off the kick and snare. Let's make them smaller so it's just a bit easier to manage. There we go. And let's come over here. Okay, got that break. So let's try this one under it as well, see what happens with this. And we get together. Okay, I mentioned about the volumes being a bit loud on our kick and snare here, which it is a bit. We can just check the volumes coming through here. And then here. So our snare should probably be quieter than our kick. We want our kick to be up front. So we just want to turn this one. But actually, before I do this, I would put a bit of EQ on this. You can see how loud. So we just want to make sure it's at the right volume and it's doing the right thing. So the first thing is to put an EQ on it. So let's just EQ this, and once again, I just want to remove some of this low end, and I want to boost a little bit as well. So what I'll do is about sort of 70 up to 100, something like that, 60 to 100, around that range. So I'll give mine about there. Dip this a bit. Okay, and then we can play around here with the volume of it. So let's just come in here and put a tool on it. Okay, so let's get this volume, so let's see what it's doing. So we can push this up. That's cool because it's a 0.2, that's fine. So we've now got that kick coming through about where we want it. The next thing I want to do is just look at the snare as well. So I just want to bring the volume down on this more than anything. So I'm going to actually use the tool and we're going to turn this snare down because it's too loud. Okay, so you can see now here are some audios. These are the bounces of these breaks that we made in this video. So I've obviously gone through and added some processing and stuff to these as well. If you'd like to know a bit more about how all that is done, then leave a comment below and let me know, and I will happily make a video on how to process your drums, etc. So let's have a listen to how they sounded after they were finished. This was the first beat we made, was this one. And then the second one we made using the breaks turned out like this. Cool, so there you go. That's what we ended up with the two beats that we made in today's video. Like I say, if you'd like to know a bit more about the processing side of it all, didn't have time to put all that in this video, otherwise we'd be here all day. So I skipped a few things, obviously. If you'd like to know how I made all the sounds, etc., for the actual demo at the beginning, then that's something else I can also cover. They are all available for you guys anyway inside of the Patreon pack. So if you have access to them, then you'll be able to get all of those sounds that we used in that demo anyway. So you can just drag and drop them in. That's literally all I did. There's no processing on that demo. It was just purely drag and drop with all the samples. That was it. So thanks very much, guys, for your time. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. And until the next one, guys, take care of yourselves and peace.